Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really delighted to be here to open your conference today. I would love to thank the Nuclear Industry Association for inviting me to speak. I've known John for many years, and I also like to echo what he said about your new CEO, Tom Gretrix, who I've known since he was a relatively junior special advisor, and he's done lots of things since. And so I'm delighted to be working with the team on nuclear. I know that the NIA works tirelessly for the industry, and I hope that they, along with all of you here today, will take heart for what has been a very good year for the nuclear industry. John called it a momentous year, and I agree with that. Now, looking forward, I think the NIA is ideally placed to help the industry and government deliver on some exciting developments, like building new reactors. The UK supply chain and our skilled engineers and apprentices can benefit from an industrial strategy that will drive economic growth at the national and local level, and indeed at home and abroad. And the NIA will, of course, have a central role in the delivery and governance of this agenda and in running a reformed Nuclear Industry Council, which I will come on to. I said it had been a very good year for the industry, and in fact, I think we will look back on 2016 as a truly pivotal moment. After many years of work and a long summer, we signed the contract for difference for Hinkley Point C, the first new nuclear plant in the UK for more than 20 years. Construction has since ramped up, with close to 100 HGVs and 1,000 workers on site every day. And when completed, Hinkley Point will provide 7% of the UK's electricity needs using continuous, reliable, and secure low-carbon energy. But I think the value of Hinkley goes much further than this, because it will make new build a reality. It signals serious intent to the UK supply chain. It signals to our young, aspiring engineers that nuclear is a sector worth aiming for. In short, Hinkley will trigger this country's nuclear renaissance. Already, we are exploring ambitious plans to bring forward further nuclear new build, working with developers, Nugin and Horizon, as well as EDF and CGN. There are now industry proposals for new nuclear developments at 6 locations, that includes Hinkley, which would deliver around 18 gigawatts of capacity over the coming decades. These proposals present opportunities to grow our nuclear expertise, build up our supply chain, and to develop our export potential, and in so doing, add real value to our economy at a national and at a regional level. Now, for Hinkley, 64% of the project value will be spent in the UK, and a total of almost £4 billion over the lifetime of the project will go into the regional economy. British companies already benefiting, so £465 million worth of contracts have been awarded in the South West, and the £100 million deal for Welsh Steel demonstrates just one of the benefits new nuclear projects can bring. We can expect to see many more such announcements as the project progresses. But for the next plant, we want to go further. We want British companies to be ambitious and have access to compete for the higher value plant components, which help build sustainable capabilities in the UK. We want new nuclear developers to share supply chain information with industry early to ensure that UK companies are positioned and prepared to bid for these opportunities. And the government is taking steps to support this. So to this end, I can announce that for future new nuclear projects, developers will be required to produce supply chain plans. They will need to show evidence that their projects will support growth in the UK supply chain, will support the development of competition, and will boost innovation and skills. Having visibility of the projects will give UK companies the incentive and confidence to expand their capabilities, and should give them more confidence to invest, to train, and to retain their skilled workforce. And I believe that if these companies are supported in this way, we will see British suppliers growing their exports to the international nuclear market. We fully understand, of course, that nuclear projects are based on technology originating overseas and can have established supply chains in their country of origin. But supply chain benefits to the UK need to be mutually exclusive with benefits elsewhere, and there's a mutuality of interest and a balance to be struck. You will, I'm sure, have seen the Prime Minister's announcement last week at the CBI conference that the government will increase investment in R&D, providing an additional £2 billion investment by the end of this Parliament to keep Britain at the forefront of science and technology, disciplines that are clearly key to the nuclear sector. We also announced a new Industrial Strategy Challenge Fund, which will help Britain capitalise on its strengths in cutting-edge research. And there are opportunities for the nuclear industry beyond the new bill proposals as we strive to become nuclear pioneers again. Last month, we announced around 20 million of funding for research and development programmes for the civil nuclear sector across 5 major areas from 2016 to 2018, which builds on the recommendations for the Nuclear Innovation Research Advisory Board. And this includes funding to maintain the UK's leading work on advanced nuclear fuels, which will provide greater levels of nuclear safety and security. And the funding, I believe, will underpin the next generation of nuclear reactor designs, enabling initial work on fuel recycling processes and support to improve the operational safety and efficiency of our reactors. Innovation in the nuclear sector must be supported by effective regulation, and it's vital that regulators work with their international counterparts and with developers early on to make the regulatory process as smooth as possible. At the ONR's industry event last month, I was encouraged to hear the regulators talk about the important role they have as enablers of innovation, alongside their primary duty to ensure robust safety and security. Because we must all work together across the nuclear industry to realise the opportunities that lie ahead, both in regulatory and innovation areas. Now, the geological disposal facility, which Bruce McCurdy from Radioactive Waste Management is going to speak about later, is a good case in point. The government will need your support to help realise the benefits of the project, but we're moving forward and are planning to launch the siting process for the GTF next year. I turn to skills, because for the nuclear industry, to maximise the benefits ahead, it needs to attract, retain, and often highly skilled individuals, now and for many years to come. John spoke enthusiastically about this as well. Now, when Hinkley and the additional civil nuclear projects are taken together, we need to grow the industry workforce by about 30,000 by the mid-2020s. Now, this has coincided with a time when we face the prospect of a 70% of highly skilled workers in the new nuclear sector retiring by 2025. So you've got a problem. And that's why industry and government have been working closely to stimulate the supply of skilled people into the sector, for example, through the establishment of the National College for Nuclear, which aims to train 7,000 people by 2020. This has been set up with funding from government and industry and will create 2 hub campuses in Cumbria and in the southwest, with the first intake of students in September 2017. Now, I'm very keen for our universities to play a role in supporting the nuclear industry. I like what's happening in Manchester and in Sheffield and elsewhere, institutions who offer pioneering courses to feed the industry. And I'd encourage other universities to do the same. They have an opportunity to attract young people to start a career path in nuclear, as well as to support those students who are taking engineering already. I mentioned Sheffield. Of course, that is where the Nuclear Advanced Manufacturing Research Centre is based. With the support of the National Skills Academy for Nuclear, the Centre's Fit for Nuclear programme is helping UK companies to get nuclear ready. And of course, the Centre is also working closely with the NIA, using the demand model to shape their programmes. But that is not all. The Nuclear Skills Strategy Group are developing a strategic plan to address some of the key skill challenges. And I know Dr. Fiona Raymond will be talking about this later. And I'm very grateful to Fiona, who has brought together under her chairmanship industry, skills experts and government to think holistically about nuclear skills in the way that we need. And the work of the NSSG I know will help us to achieve a diverse and suitably skilled and qualified workforce right across our country. Another challenge facing the industry is the growing danger of cyber attacks, which are seen as a top threat to our economic and national security. And in response to this, we launched the Civil Nuclear Cybersecurity Strategy in August, and I was delighted to visit GCHQ for a useful session with the industry. And this strategy sets out the roles and responsibilities of government, the Office for Nuclear Regulation and Industry in mitigating the current and emerging cyber threat to our sector, and the work that we all need to do to ensure the civil nuclear sector is resistant. It's clear that the duty holders and the supply chain businesses are the expert for their systems, and only they can develop the security solutions which are needed to fit their unique situations. And we'll work closely with the regulator and with industry to review the effectiveness of the strategy. But, and this is what I wanted to say today, it's essential that management boards across the sector take ownership of the risk and responsibility for managing cyber vulnerabilities. Now, of course, I must mention the elephant in the room, the UK vote to leave the European Union. Like all industry, the nuclear sector wants clarity and confidence that its business will not be disadvantaged during our negotiations. This is a top priority for this government, I hardly need to say so, and we're assessing the legal and policy implications of the vote to leave, for example, for the UK's membership of Euratom. I recently met David Davis, the Secretary of State for exiting the EU, with energy stakeholders, and he made clear that energy was high on his agenda. We will continue to listen to your needs so that we can work together to achieve stability in the short term and growth beyond that. Now, we need the nuclear industry to expand their capabilities, grow their exports, and reap benefits for local and national economies as part of our industrial strategy. And the only way to make a success of these opportunities is for industry, government, and regulators to work together to overcome challenges such as bridging the skills gap, the threat of cyber attack, and Brexit. And that's why the nuclear industry is so well placed to benefit from the department's work on industrial strategy. The industry is already doing many of the things the approach will be focused on. So opportunities for the supply chain, to grow at home and abroad, ensuring we have a system in place to mature and develop the skills we need, and maximising the benefit to local economies where there is industrial expertise. Greg Clark talks about place a lot. And as we develop our approach, we will engage with you, but we do need your experience to guide our ambition. And in order to deliver on these opportunities and maximise the value and impact of our industrial strategy, there needs to be a forum to provide strategic grip from the nuclear industry and HMG to provide good governance. You already have such a forum, the Nuclear Industry Council. This has been, I think, somewhat waiting in the wings following a review to determine how to make it more effective and strategic for the benefit of the whole nuclear industry. And with the resurgent sector, the time is right to announce that we will re-establish the Nuclear Industry Council in the new year to progress the work on industrial strategy in the nuclear sector. Acting on feedback from the industry, it will be more strategic, a smaller and more focused body, longer term and broader in its horizons. And I want it to be a body that interacts effectively with the wider industry so that views and ideas from right across the sector can support the bright and prosperous future that I know this industry can have in its Renaissance year. 2016 will be a year for the industry to look back on, I hope with a sense of pride and positivity, acknowledging the important progress it has made in partnership with government towards making new nuclear a reality in the UK. I know none of us are resting on our laurels because there is much more work to do. Yes, there are challenges facing the industry, but together we have the ambition, the capabilities, and the vision in place to deliver vital, secure, affordable, low-carbon energy, and with it, benefits for the nuclear industry, the regions, and our country. Thank you for listening.